Hello, good afternoon. We are just waiting for the last people to join, and then we will start the webinar in a moment. Can you hear me, Rune and Valdes, and can you please just say hi so I know that people can hear you as well?
Yes, hello.
We have contact.
So we just give it a few minutes and then we will introduce ourselves. And someone already knows how to use the chat. I will introduce that in a moment, but we have the first one. Hi, Frederik, welcome. So I think we are about to be ready to start up. Welcome everybody to this webinar on Shopify, scalable e-business for both business to consumer and business to business. I am your host, and together with me we have Rune and Evaldes. My name is Morten Longgaard. I'm a team lead in the Shopify department in Novicell, and not as skilled as the two people you will meet in a minute. So I'm your host, and I will try to get you through this webinar and be controlling the screen and try to handle the chat with your questions. If you look at the top screen to your right, you can see that you have a button called the chat where you can ask questions, and I will try to interrupt Rune and Evaldes with your questions. You can also use the question tab if you maybe have longer questions or want to ask in private, and then we can bring up the questions in the Q&A session when we are finishing the speak from Evaldes and Rune. And the slides that we will be showing in the webinar will also be sent to you, and you will also have the possibility to look through the recording afterwards. So Rune and Valdes, I think that you should introduce yourself and then also make a short presentation of Novicell. So I will hand over the mic to you guys, and you can take it away from here. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Will you start?
Sure. So my name is Evaldes. I am a tech lead at Novicell team Shopify. And yeah, I do everything related to Shopify project delivery, from scoping to refinement, estimation, delivery, and making sure we finish a project that you're happy with.
Yeah, my name is Rune. I am the commercial guy in our team. So I do a lot of sales, a lot of meetings, and talking about overall how well does Shopify match your guys' need in your organization. So I am usually there for the early phases, and then hand it over to Valdes when it get a bit more technical and goes into depth and everything. And I'll continue now with a short presentation about Novicell before we dive into the topic for today. So yeah, Novicell, we are a digital agency who help out clients, and as you see here, clients across Europe with all their digital needs and solutions. We do marketing strategy, web, inbound, outbound marketing, data management, everything of that sort. And we work with multiple brands here and multiple different businesses, B2C and B2B and D2C, and both smaller and larger enterprise clients. So that was a very short introduction of Novicell. I will not waste more time here and go into the presentation. So the plan is to go through these points today. So hopefully to enlighten you a bit regarding Shopify and B2B. So for Shopify, a short presentation. I'm sure many of you know of it, but just in brief headlines. Shopify is based in Ottawa in Canada. It's created in 2006 by a few guys who wanted to start a snowboarding shop actually, but found it pretty difficult to actually get started. So instead, they created Shopify. And the point here was to make it easy to actually start your own shop. Since then, a lot have happened, and now there's over 4 million sites worldwide built by Shopify. That's a pretty big number, and also speaks to a pretty healthy community regarding both partners and developers, of course. Shopify themselves have over 9,000 employees, and more than half of that is dedicated to actually making this product better. And that again shows why they have moved from startups only to also go into very much larger brands to handle their business as well, and B2B as well, of course. And just to mention a few brands here, both from Denmark and also abroad, is just some of the bigger brands using Shopify now. And then we talked a bit about why is Shopify successful. There's a bunch of different offers out there, right? One point is that it's cloud-based, and that's also why I brought this quote from Shopify themselves, because that's a point that we often hear from other systems where clients are not happy with paying for upgrades and maintenance and all that stuff. That's just less fun, right? You would rather spend your money towards improving your business. That's at least one point. Shopify is also based around themes, where to begin with at least you can choose a theme, and then you can get going very quickly. You can still do that for your front end. You can also build, of course, a custom theme to match your needs. So you can do a headless approach if that matches your business. So there's multiple ways to actually get started pretty easily with Shopify. In the past, but also still, we have the App Store. A few years ago, this was extremely essential because Shopify was a pretty slim offering, you could say that. So you would need apps to actually extend the platform to cater for your needs. But Shopify is now bringing more and more of that in-house. So you either do use the core functionality of Shopify, or you have Shopify's own apps you can use, which of course both saves costs, but also ensures that your data is handled by one operator and not many. And you have a very friendly back office, and that's what we hear from clients time and time again, that they are very happy with working with Shopify. It's easy, it's logically, so it's a good place to be when you're an editor here and want to create more content. And then again, maybe back to what I mentioned before, with the huge amount of staff they have a very high focus of continuing their innovation. That's of course also why we are talking B2B today, something that was not possible a few years ago. But speaking of that, we will go into a case we brought today for Pilgrim, which were more or less pioneering B2B on Shopify. Just in headlines, Pilgrim has been a client for ours for many years now. A large retailer for jewelry, of course, and have based their business on Shopify B2C for many years, and the past 2 years maybe on B2B as well. So as we look at the login screen here, I think just a few words about why Pilgrim actually chose Shopify to do the B2B business. Because 2 years ago, that was not a given at any stretch. Shopify was purely a B2C business. They had a few B2B stuff, but mainly a B2C platform. But Pilgrim felt limited by the offering they had already. It did some stuff, but if they wanted to improve it, they couldn't. It was sort of an off-the-shelf product, right? At the same time, they were very, very happy with how Shopify ran. Again, no maintenance and everything just worked. So they tasked us with doing a B2B store on Shopify. So that was up to us. Of course, together with Pilgrim, a good collaboration here to work into that. So I will try now to take you through what we built in headlines, at least for Pilgrim, and then Evaldas will elaborate on some of the stuff later on. So let's imagine now that I log in here to the site, and the first thing I meet is actually what looks like a fairly standard Shopify store. If, however, we zoom in a bit and look at the prices here, there's maybe not that much that catches the eye right now, but there's actually a huge amount of work underneath all this, because what we see here are user-specific prices. And that means that the price we're showing here depends on who you're logged in as, what other items do you have in your cart, and so on. So all that is calculated here and shown, which is of course a must for many B2B clients. So the prices are managed in Pilgrim's ERP system, so we don't do any extra work here in Shopify. We just show the right price here, discounts and so on. There's also, as you can see, some products here we can pre-order, and I'll go back into that later. Now, if we look at the top of the site, there's also a few things we can notice here. One is high prices. It's not the biggest innovation in the world, but just a nice little handy tool to actually show your unique customer-specific prices here, and only show the what's it called, retail price.
Yeah.
We also have a small icon here with some good functionality behind it. This is actually a place where you are allowed to scan products in your store. If you are on this store on your phone, you can use your phone's camera to scan all the products you need to order. They will add it directly to the cart. And if you're on a PC or on a Mac, you can use a barcode scanner to scan them. So an easy way to fill up your stock in the store. And then we have the big one here, I would say. This is the impersonation field. So impersonation is what allows Pilgrim's staff, back office, and also Pilgrim's agents to actually log in on behalf of their clients. So I'll try to dive in now. You can see here that we actually logged in as Evalus. Sorry, Evalus, you didn't know. So when I dive in a bit and log in impersonation here, we can see that these are the clients that Evalus is allowed to impersonate. So this, of course, simulates that if you are a sales agent driving around Aarhus, you might have the responsibility to cater to all the Aarhus clients, and you will then see all the Aarhus clients here, but none of the other clients. If you are an administrator, maybe for Pilgrim, you might have to see everyone here, and that would be totally fine. We can set that up. So here we see the clients that Evalus can impersonate, and let's just pick one here. And now I am logged in here as a client. And the first thing I see is actually the account. Which orders have this client placed before? If we zoom a bit in here, we can see what's going on top. I'm still logged in, or rather, we know that it's actually Evalus logging in here as another client. But as far as the system knows, as far as Shopify knows, this is actually the client who's logged in. Mm-hmm. So that means that all the prices that the client negotiated is shown here. If you have any targeted content towards the client, that would be shown here. All the addresses would be filled out in the contact and in the checkout and so on. So everything is targeted towards the client we are logged in as here. So let's put a few items in the cart and then go see what the cart looks like now. So I'm still logged in on behalf of this client. I have added some items now in my cart rather. As you saw on the first slide, more or less after we logged in, was that we also have the ability to pre-order. We have a few different states of orders here. You can place an order of a back order which is out of stock. You can order products which are available now, and you can do pre-orders as well. So right now we have ordered a product that we can get now, and also one pre-order for later. But maybe I, as a client, or maybe I, as an agent, know that this client do not want to get 2 deliveries here. We just want to get 1. So if we zoom in a bit, we can see that on the top product, we actually have the ability to move it into a later stage of delivery. So clicking that would then give me this view. I have now gathered this into 1 delivery. I can change my mind if I want to, and if I have 3 different states, I can choose the setup I want to here to get it delivered. So now I have my cart, and I can actually go to the checkout, which, as far as the client is concerned, is a fairly normal checkout. That's sort of right, Alice?
Yeah, exactly. So the order is associated to the customer that you're logged in as. So if you're an agent and you are logged in as someone else, the order will be placed on behalf of that customer, but the order will actually be attributed to the agent, so that Pilgrim knows how many orders a particular agent has placed or a revenue generator.
Yeah, perfect. Good. So we have full transparency here. So we can't really fool the clients and just order on their behalf. We would know who actually placed the order in the end here. Good. And that's all for me regarding the Pilgrim case. Then over to you, Alice.
Yes. So we'll dive a bit into Shopify B2B. Well, actually quite a lot. And we'll just start by recapping what we did for Pilgrim and what is now possible out of the box with Shopify B2B native. Also, what is not possible or coming, and how do the different features compare. So we'll go through customer-specific prices, which assumingly should be managed in the ERP feature as something we did for Pilgrim. And then again, how is that now possible in Shopify B2B? We will look at sales agents and support staff as a use case. We will look at B2C user experience, look and feel, retaining. So if you have a B2C store and you want your B2B store to look like a B2C store, how is that possible, if it's possible, and what Shopify is doing to make that even better. We will look at a feature we built for Pilgrim where users can scan barcodes on the website and search for items, how that could be implemented in Shopify B2B native. And then we'll talk about ERP integrations for products, customers, and order data, because many of these types of stores and clients we talk to, they want to manage all of their financials in, let's say, an ERP system. They want to manage product data in PIM systems, so on and so forth. So we need to be able to synchronize those systems to Shopify and back to ERP, for example. So customer-specific prices. Businesses, much like Pilgrim, they want to, again, improve efficiency and data accuracy, right, by maintaining their data, such as prices, centrally in a ERP system. When we developed the B2B solution for Pilgrim initially, that was just simply not possible. So what we ended up doing is we built a custom app that essentially takes data from the ERP system, takes product data from Shopify, combines it all together, and serves those serves prices back to Shopify's storefront. So whenever a B2B customer is logged in and they are looking at product cards or the cart, or they navigate through the website, prices are reflected based on data coming from the ERP system at near live integration speeds. So that's all nice and great. Something we built for Pilgrim. Now Shopify has come out with huge focus on B2B and have began rolling out features to support these use cases natively. So the first thing they shipped last year is actually something called catalogs, which allows you to essentially define a product catalog, specify item prices or prices for each item in any particular currency, and then assign the catalog or catalogs to one or more companies. So that's when someone is logged in as a company, as a B2B user, what they can see on the website is based on the catalogs. The themes that Shopify provides to customers, or themes that we actually build, they support these catalogs automatically, because there's no additional coding. There's no additional coding that's needed to be able to work with that. They actually built it in a way where it just sort of happens in the background, and you as a user don't really know that you're getting unique prices to you. It's just prices, right? So it's done in a really simple way. Another, as Rune mentioned, one of the use cases or requirements that Pilgrim had was to be able to support sales agents who are responsible for a number of Pilgrim clients. the agents need to be able to log into the store on behalf of each of their clients and place orders for them, maybe just review catalogs for prices to make sure they're correct, and so on and so forth. So we ended up developing an app as well, just like with customer specific prices. And this app provides a portal that you saw earlier, and as you can see on the slide here, the portal allows agents to basically review which customers or clients they have access to, and whether or not they are able to log in on their behalf. Once logged in, they can place orders or view order history just if it was the client who's logged in normally. So there's no weird hacks or strange workarounds that a lot of third-party apps have been implementing. Both agent and client data is managed in the ERP system, and we synchronize it to Shopify via various integrations and to the impersonation app itself, so that it is able to look at all the different data points. The result is that Pilgrim does not need to maintain anything in Shopify. They maintain their agents and data and information in the ERP system just like they used to. And now everything is just made available to the end users in Shopify. And as I mentioned earlier, once an agent places an order on behalf of one of their clients, the order is attributed back to the agent. So when we send the order to the ERP system of Pilgrim, they know that a particular agent has generated X amount of revenue for them. So how does that look in Shopify B2B native? Well, it's a bit rough. There has not been any support for sales agent functionality up until now. The version 1 of sales agent functionality is planned for second half of this year. I actually heard yesterday that it's planned for July. It's maybe a little optimistic, but we'll see if Shopify manages to push through. The version 1 of this functionality will essentially allow merchants or retailers to invite sales agents as staff on the store, and then sales agents will be able to log into the back office and have access to specific customers they are allowed to interact with. So it will not work through a portal like what we built for Pilgrim. It will be a bit more technical, based on a back office of Shopify. That being said, I also had a confirmation that they are working on a version 2 of sales agent functionality already, which is planned for perhaps sometime next year. And that will look more similar to what we have delivered to Pilgrim, where it's some sort of a portal on the actual store where agents log in and they don't have to deal with the whole back office complexity, if we can call it that.
And with the risk of bragging, we did show this to Shopify actually, and they were interested in seeing how we built this, because this is the functionality, as far as we know, that the clients are looking for, right? So Pilgrim is doing it. We have another client also just launched today, actually.
Just launched one today.
Who
yes.
actually have similar functionality as well.
Yeah.
So there is a question from the audience about this impersonator app. Is it only a Novicell customer that can use this functionality that we have built, or is it out in App Store, or how does it work?
I can start out. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
It's not on the App Store, no, and the reason is that it's not quite plug and play. We do need to alter the theme. There's a portal here, as you can see, and there is some work to be done here as well. And of course, we need to ensure that the clients and the ones they can impersonate are set up correctly. So we have the data ensured here. So it's not on the App Store. We have dreamed about it quite a few times. It could be fun. But as we see now, we do need some hands-on work to do this.
Not much to add to that. I think one of the dangers of building public apps on Shopify that are very niche and needed is that Shopify might just come out and provide a native solution out of the box, which is what has happened with B2B. So I think we are maybe partially also happy that we have not spent many more hours trying to build this out into a completely reusable public plug and play app, because I suppose that would have backfired a bit.
Yeah. But also maybe if I put my sales hat on a bit, this can be built for any theme as long as you have Shopify Plus, though, right?
That's true. Yes.
So if that answers the question, if you have another store on Shopify Plus running now and you need this, we could build it.
It's also, I think, worth noting that if you are looking for a user-friendly impersonation portal, that's not coming for another year or maybe a little more, right? So depending on your business case, if it makes sense to have, it might be worth investing into it now, or of course waiting until Shopify ships something out of the box.
At some point.
At some point.
Yes. But
yes.
Reach out and we can talk.
Yeah. Okay, so B2C user experience. One of the things that Pilgrim really wanted from the very beginning was to have their new B2B store look and feel like their B2C store. I think it's also because they had invested a lot of time also with us in making it really easy to use and look nice and all of that, right? They were coming from a POS system or B2B POS system called Nshift, where it was not so nice looking. Perhaps it was functional, but it was not so nice looking. So it was a huge focus to be able to actually create a good looking and functional B2C shop. And I think when they launched, the response from their sales agents and also customers was that it was very nice and easy to use, right? So what we ended up doing for Pilgrim is that we copied their B2C theme and then reworked it where necessary for B2B purposes. We added various functionality that we've talked to so far, and we'll talk a bit more soon. And we added various improvements over time since then to make sure that the end user is getting an excellent user experience in a B2B context, right? So in relation to Shopify B2B native, Shopify has been shipping a lot of tools over the last few months to help both developers, theme developers and agencies to build excellent B2C and B2B experiences. Those tools, in theory, make it possible to now build a single theme that could handle both B2B and B2C use cases. Whether that's a single theme across different stores or a single theme on the same store that handles both B2B and B2C. I think it remains to be seen whether it's a good idea to keep it all in one store or if it makes sense to spread it out. It really varies between client to client, what kind of requirements you have. There are still some limitations in terms of being able to expose some functionality on a Shopify store for B2B only. So it remains to be seen what makes most sense. It's definitely per client basis. So one of the features we did for Pilgrim was also the barcode scan and search. This is not supported in Shopify B2B native at all. So this is something we ended up building custom. But then again, Shopify is launching a lot of the custom, a lot of new themes that are B2B centric. So we expect some sort of functionality like this to be available. Otherwise, it can be built by third-party developers or partners like us. So Shopify's B2B roadmap, it's been a short year and a half. A lot has happened. They shipped the initial B2B functionality last year, actually late last year, with support for companies, company prices, company users, and a B2B checkout. It was really the sort of the cornerstone of being able to do B2B on Shopify, but there was still a lot of functionality that people desired. In the first half of this year, Shopify has focused on API integrations, both for back office, but also building headless B2B storefront experiences. There has been various improvements to user experience, for example, payment reminders, checkout customizations, and whatnot. What we are looking forward to in the second half of the year is quantity price breaks. That's one of the limitations right now, and it's quite common in B2B. So if you want to charge a different price when someone buys 20 pieces of something, right now that requires various workarounds. The expectation is that sometime early in the second year, this will be supported out of the box. not sure how to pronounce that, ACH payments, ACH payments, direct bank-to-bank payments, right? That's also not something supported right now. It can be handled again in various workarounds. Shopify has a few recommendations on doing that as well, but it is planned to be supported natively. However, it will most likely only be supported in the US to begin with. Of course, the sales agent or sales representative support, the version 1 of that is supposed to come out this year as well, which will enable sales agents to be assigned to the back office and allow them to place orders to their clients through the back office. Shopify is planned to launch B2B focused themes as well. So maybe someone is aware of, maybe not. Shopify has shipped their own B2C theme called Dawn that comes with a lot of tools built in. And the expectation is that the B2B themes will have a similar level of functionality. And then finally, discount functions should also come out this year, which will enable partners like us to build more customized pricing rules on top of the customer-specific price functionality. So, for example, if you have a B2B client who should receive 5% additional discount if they purchase for 500,000 or more, then that will be possible. And then there's a lot of stuff that's in development. These things don't typically have a deadline or a timeline. It's just something that we know through communications with Shopify that they have this on their roadmap. It's something they want to do or are working on already. But of course, they are not willing to commit to any deadlines yet. So, for example, sales rep support, version 2 of that, is something they are working on already, and we do know that it will be some sort of portal on the actual store rather than requiring sales agents to work through the back office. There's various customer portal improvements. They are working on something called customer center extensions, which will allow us to build more unique experiences into the customer center, perhaps better reorder functionality, upselling, and based on order history and whatnot, as well as a number of other improvements. Yeah, and then I think I'll hand it off to Rune to talk a bit more about Shopify Plus.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier as well with Shopify Plus, because Shopify has various licenses you can buy into, right? As down to like $19, something like that for the cheapest one, and upwards. And then we have Shopify Plus, which is sort of for some at least, like secret license, but it is their enterprise license. Apart from the Shopify components just launched, then Shopify Plus is sort of Shopify's license for bigger clients, right? And the reason we mention this is that because Shopify Plus is a hard requirement to do Shopify B2B, native B2B. It's also for the impersonation feature that we showed. It's also a requirement for that. There's some functionality tied to Shopify Plus license that we need to use in order to enable you to log in as others. And for the price, Shopify Plus is $2,000 a month. And is that a lot or not? I guess it depends on what you come from, and it's important to at least remember to compare apples to apples when you hold these against each other. Shopify Plus allows for 10 stores, and you can do both your B2B and your B2C business here. And as we mentioned earlier on, it hosted and so on, right? So this should probably be compared to having your own server hosting and your own B2C store, your own B2B store, and so on. But of course, it is quite a lot, and it's quite a lot more than the cheaper Shopify licenses you sometimes see out there in the wild. It does also mean that 10 stores, as I mentioned, we have some lower Shopify fees. Shopify's pricing model is based on the fact that you pay a fee for each cart payment on your store, and that fee is then very much lower on the Shopify Plus store. However, a very important thing to note is that these fees are only there for cart payments. So if you do invoice payments, as most of you guys do on B2B, there will not be a Shopify fee for that. Very important to keep in mind.
maybe also one point regarding Shopify Plus, you also get access to sort of priority support, which is free. So if instead of writing Rune or me for some help about your Shopify questions, you can actually just reach out to Shopify Plus support for free, and they are quite good at answering platform-related questions.
Yeah. And also I think it's, as you mentioned here, it's only in Shopify's interest that you guys are making money, right? Because oftentimes in the license model, they make money if you make money. So they are very interested in you making as good as business as possible on the platform. I think it's a good way to make business. All right, that was just very quickly regarding Shopify Plus.
So Rune and Valdes, there is a new question here that
Yes.
I think we can answer at this moment in the webinar. So you mentioned the Microsoft 365 integration. Can you also do an integration with Now? And how complex is that process?
That's probably for you.
Well, it entirely depends. I think we typically work with ERP partners. So if you approach us and you want to integrate with Shopify, we will talk to your ERP partner and you to figure out the best method of integrating the different systems. We have worked with Business Central, Nav, Axe, back when it was still a thing, not so much anymore. Various PIM systems and so on and so forth. So we have a lot of experience working with different ERP partners, the ERP systems that is serve. It varies a lot.
So if I can translate, yes, it can work with Nav. And it's actually more or less the topic of the next slides here that I also will dive into, because that's one of the points that we want to make, is that when we do integrations to systems, we don't want to have a tight coupling of everything together. We want to do it loosely coupled. So if you have a Nav now, and if you are thinking to upgrade into Business Central or whatever in 2 years, you don't want to redo all your work we did here. So yes, we can definitely integrate to Now, and a very fair point. How difficult is it? We need to talk about that, because no client is alike. So we definitely need to talk about that.
I think Pilgrim is actually an interesting case because they moved away from Axe to financial operations.
Yeah, F&O, yeah.
F&O, yeah. So it is also something we have experience with, actually moving to a different ERP system when it comes to integrations to Shopify. But that's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to talk about next. How to integrate with Shopify. Starting with why you might want to integrate, and this will probably come as no surprise to most. But if you run your business across different systems such as ERP, PIM, DAM, if you want to automate a lot of the data and synchronization between those different systems, which could include products, inventory, prices, product translations, and if you want to automate business processes themselves, such as handling sales orders, invoicing, crediting, fulfillment, then instead of doing all of those things in a lot of the different systems, you might want to be able to do it in the centralized system. For example, handling all your product data in your PIM system, handling all your financials in the ERP system, so on and so forth. So a common approach to doing that is, or common approach to integrating to systems like Shopify, is to develop applications known as integration middleware. These integration middleware applications typically accept data from one system, such as accepting products from your ERP system. It receives the data, figures out how to map it to another system, which could be Shopify, and how to orchestrate various layers of communications or types of communications to Shopify so that products are created correctly or updated or deleted and so forth, right? Building these applications one by one is not a great approach, and we'll take a look at what the issues with that are. So building these applications is obviously quite expensive. It requires a lot of development hours. There's a high risk due to amount of code that needs to be written for more complex scenarios. Shopify updates their APIs every quarter as well. And it is common to have to update the integrations that you just built every year or more often, depending on new features or breaking changes Shopify creates. You essentially, if you build these applications in a more common approach, you end up with a block of custom code that someone developed. But what happens in a year, 2 or 3? Are developers who built it still there? Do they track or are aware of changes that Shopify has been making to the platform and its APIs? You really end up with an expensive application that after a fairly short amount of time cannot be maintained or is difficult to maintain for either technical or organizational reasons. And we've done that as well in the past. We have built quite a lot of integrations for Shopify clients, and not only Shopify clients. It's a lot of our time is spent doing that. So we actually started out by building these kinds of applications as well, but quickly found ourselves creating duplicate solutions time and time again. And this is only escalated with issues of such as maintenance, because now we have maybe several of these custom applications built for different clients, right? Built by different developers, no standards to follow. It's difficult to maintain, expensive. So we thought whether there's a better way. So what we have done for the past few years now is that we have been building these integrations, gaining deep understanding of how Shopify's platform work, various APIs, how does Shopify think in terms of developing new features, talking to Shopify, giving them feedback, making sure that what they build is something we can integrate with. So over time, we have developed something we call Shopify connectors, name pending still. A connector is basically a solution built with composable principles. We have 3 connectors right now, covering 3 business areas: products, orders, and customers. Each connector comes with a built-in functionality towards Shopify, which we have learned businesses need, and we'll take a look at those just in a minute. Each of those integrations that we deliver with connectors includes an adapter component, which is represented by the blue box. And this adapter component is developed for each client. So in this box, we handle all the stuff related to a unique client, their unique ERP systems or whatever other systems they have, ways of communicating with those systems, data transformations, all the things that are hard to copy from one client to another.
Can it maybe be tied back to Morten's question earlier, saying, do we connect to now? I mean, this is built with no ERP system in mind, right? This is built
exactly
and because we have this custom code every time, we can cater to both now and a PIM system and ERP.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where we really glue it all together and figure out the details of how to connect the different systems. The problem is that a lot of the work is also related to Shopify. Shopify has a lot of complex APIs, and even fairly simple use cases might require quite a lot of development hours to build a stable integration towards Shopify. So what we have done is that we also have this connector component represented by the green box, which is installed as a package and comes with pre-built functionality next to your adapter. This component is something we've built at Novicell, something we document, something we maintain. We have standards around it, and we have a team around it who is able to work with it efficiently, right? So it's not something we build one-off and then do it better next time. It's something we continuously improve. And let's just take a quick look at some of the benefits of doing that. So building integrations this way with our connectors enables us to reduce cost and risk for clients. We end up writing less unique code. We need to take care of only communications and data mapping in the adapter component. Moreover, we continuously improve the connectors. And even more important, we are able to upgrade our existing clients from an older connector version to a newer connector version, which unlocks new integration possibilities, new automation opportunities, and whatnot. For example, just recently we added an update where if a product's URL changes, we can automatically create a redirect in Shopify for the old URL to redirect to the new URL. Whereas previously someone would have to maybe look at Google Analytics, catch the fact that the URL has changed and add a redirect manually, right? So it saves a lot of time for e-commerce managers as well. One of the other benefits is that if you decide to move elsewhere, you can take the code base with you. It's not a subscription of any kind. You have it, and if you are at Novicell, you can receive updates over time. Again, the adapter component is built uniquely for you, so we can accommodate any system really, and a reasonable communications method within reason. Yeah. So if we look at some of the business-driven use cases we support today, in the product connector, we have use cases such as product master data, synchronizing product master data from your system to Shopify, which could include, product fields, titles, descriptions, variants, SKU numbers, prices, EN numbers, stuff like that. Synchronizing inventory to Shopify with multiple locations. We have solutions that synchronize inventory near live using various service bus solutions, queues. We have scheduled tasks. So again, all sorts of implementations can be done in the adapter component. We can handle market-specific prices natively in Shopify and product translations. So localization is something we care quite a lot, also because we have a lot of international clients. Recently, we have also added company-specific prices. This does require Shopify Plus, but that means we can receive prices from your ERP system, customer-specific prices, and synchronize those to Shopify as well. Soon, we plan to support company-specific products too. Product media, images, videos, YouTube, Vimeo, anything Shopify supports, including 3D files. And then, of course, custom fields. So fields that don't fit standard Shopify data structures, we synchronize those as something called meta fields, and we support 22 out of 24 data types supported by Shopify. So those fields can then be used to create filters in Shopify or otherwise be utilized across Shopify platform as natively recognized correct data type fields. On the order connector, we take care of the financials. So we have sales order synchronization from Shopify to your system, and we send the data that you need. We handle payment capture in Shopify based on posted invoice notes from your system, and we can send you a confirmation back. Same with refunding payments. We can fulfill orders in Shopify with tracking information, receive claims from Shopify and send them to your system. So for example, if you have a return portal which generates refunds in Shopify, we can send that back to your ERP system, for instance. And if you have multiple Shopify stores, we also have a use case where we can adjust inventory across the different Shopify stores you have when an order is placed on one of them, which helps prevent overselling. And then customer connector is a bit more brief. It's all about customers and companies and locations. So synchronizing those from whatever system you have, usually the ERP, to Shopify, making sure that customers can log in, access their B2B catalogs, and interact with B2B functionality. Yeah, and then I think Rune will talk a bit about the company we're in.
Sure. Because as well as said, this is the way we approach integrations now, to keep it in a team where we have many people to support this. So these are just some of the logos here that we put on the wall for some of the clients that we use, and for both B2C and B2B scenarios here. I also actually heard a client mention that he sort of talked about these connectors as sort of a highway where they just throw data at it and it just works. And if there was an issue, it was probably in their end. So that's pretty high praise. Yeah, but that is actually it. And time is also about to be up. So do we have time for questions?
Thank you, Rune and Valdes. I will just keep an eye on the chat or on the questions to see if there is any last questions here from the audience. And I know there is some lag in going through the internet when before the questions come back. Let's see.
I can see I actually got one here, Morten, from one asking about how did Pilgrim feel about Shopify introducing the native B2B? So I suppose after we did all the whole the custom thing for Pilgrim, right, and Shopify introduced a native version, how do they feel about that? I think it's important to say that Pilgrim is very much aware of what's going on with Shopify as well. So we had all cards on the table saying that at some point Shopify might or will do some sort of B2B. We do not know in what form and will it cover all your needs. And that's why they agreed to go forward here. And as well as showed us also, we're not quite there yet with maybe something like impersonation. We are a long way, and a bunch of B2B businesses could be handled natively now. But no, they're not sad.
I saw you last week demoing Pilgrim directly to Shopify, and they were pretty impressed.
Yeah, that was nice.
So there are no more questions coming in. So I would like to thank everybody who joined today. Thank you for joining. As we mentioned in the chat and in the beginning, we will make sure that you will have the recording and the slides available. And we hope to see you again. Thank you for joining.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.